Minnesota basketball, to stuff you can cook out with, the lawn flags. Just check them out. Sodastick.com. Use the promo code TALKNORTH to get free shipping on any size order. All right, let's get some actual football. Which young players are you going to be watching once camp opens?
Yeah, well, I guess I can take it kind of by position, just briefly at each position. For quarterback, really, to me, Sean Mannion has got the backup job pretty well in the bag. I think it would take a terrible preseason from him to not get the number 2 spot. So it's basically between Kyle Sloter and Jake Browning. And, I feel like Sloter has a little bit of an advantage, just that he's been here for a couple of years. He's used to the offense. He has familiarity with the Kubiak system. So I would give him the advantage. But, they were running about equal during OTAs and minicamp, and they sort of rotated which one of those guys got each day at the number 3 spot. So that one's going to be interesting to me. Running back, obviously Dalvin Cook, number 1, Alexander Madison, number 2. For me, the number 3 spot, I think a lot of people will recognize the name of Amir Abdullah, but I think it's more for that number 3 spot. If Abdullah doesn't win the kickoff return job, he's going to be in for a battle for that final roster spot at running back between Mike Boone and Rock Thomas. I think Boone probably has a little bit of an advantage. Thomas, I think, had a better preseason last year, but overall, I think Boone is a little bit more explosive, a little bit more powerful, and can still do stuff in the passing game. So I kind of give the edge there. Tight end. This one is going to be really interesting to me because you've got Kyle Rudolph and Irv Smith as a number 1 and number 2. If they just keep 3 tight ends, which is probably the expectation, David Morgan is a little bit more well-rounded of a tight end, a little bit better blocking tight end. But Tyler Conklin's gotten a lot of praise in the spring practices for his ability as a pass catcher. Mike Zimmer kind of called him out as a guy that's had a really good spring. So I think he's got a shot to overtake David Morgan for the number 3 spot. And the other thing that's hurt Morgan is he's been dealing with a knee injury, arthroscopic surgery recently. So, is he ready for training camp or not? That one's going to be a really interesting one. And then finally, among kind of the skill receiver positions, obviously it's Thielen and Diggs at 1 and 2. Chad Beebe and Jordan Taylor are, I think, the top candidates to be behind those two. So I would right now put those at number 3 and number 4. And I think it puts Laquan Treadwell on notice that not only is his playing time in jeopardy, but I think his roster spot in general could be in jeopardy if some of the younger guys kind of step up to battle for those number 5 and number 6 positions.
And one of the interesting things about Treadwell is, if you look at him walking off a practice field with his shirt off, you say, my God, this guy looks like the perfect athlete. But he really isn't quick enough or explosive enough to be a great special teamer. So if he can't catch the ball and if he can't beat out people like Zylstra or Taylor or Beebe, then he just has no value.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's one of these cases where, as a rookie, I tend to give, guys some time to get adapted. Everybody probably remembers Trey Wayne's rookie preseason where people were all over him, because he was getting penalties, he was too grabby, all that sort of stuff. And then he kind of figures it out. So, if Treadwell wasn't doing anything in his rookie season, and I kind of gave him a pass there, but more and more, it's the pressure is mounting on him to live up to first round status and not be labeled as a bust, which frankly, I think a lot of fans right now label him as a bust. And it is because he doesn't have much speed. He has a difficult time getting some separation. He can be a nice complement as a blocking wide receiver, but ultimately that's not what you want that position to do. So I think guys like Jeff Badette, who's a speedster, has a chance to make the roster. And I think he's going to be battling Brandon Zylstra for that number 5-ish spot. And then you got a couple of 7th-round picks and Dylan Mitchell and BC Johnson that are sort of battling for that last spot on the roster or perhaps a spot on the practice squad. So, Treadwell will just have to show that he can be a red zone target. It's not like he's suddenly going to gain all this speed. To me, it's up to him to prove that he belongs in the NFL. And right now, I'm not 100% certain that he belongs regularly on a football field during the regular season.
I agree with you. Hey, Hoaglund. Tony Hoaglund handles my insurance, my house insurance, my car insurance. He also handles Michael Russo's insurance. And we've been doing this for a long time now. So he's been supporting the network for a long time. And we've been working with him for a long time. And it's been very pleasant and relaxing to know you have somebody good on your side in those ventures.
Hey, Minnesota sports fans. This is your local State Farm agent, Tony Hoaglund. I need you all to ask yourselves this question. If you're in an at-fault car accident and you are sued for $700,000, how much of that $700,000 will my current insurance company pay? If you are unsure or can't answer all $700,000, you need to give us a call. State Farm has been number one in car insurance since World War II and number one in homeowners insurance since 1964. For a no-obligation review of your current policies, call us at 763-421-4900 or check out our website at www.champlininsurance.com.
Also want to thank another longtime sponsor, Bite Squad, bitesquad.com. Use the promo code TALKNORTH to get your first delivery fee waived. They keep adding local restaurants. They have a deal where you can pay, I think it's $5.99 a month for free deliveries for a month from anywhere within a 4-mile radius. They have just really good food. It shows up restaurant quality. You don't have to, worry about any travel or driving or traffic or parking or reservation hassles. They'll just bring it right to you. No dishes. Check it out, bitesquad.com, or use the Bite Squad app. All right, let's get to the offensive line, which, of course, might still be the crux for this team.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it sure seems like the top 5 positions are set. And I think there's going to be a lot of uncertainty on who the backups are going to be. Aviant Collins, I think, has got a great shot to be one of the backup tackles. Rashad Hill as well. One guy that I'm going to really be watching during training camp to see the progress that's made is Oli Udoh. He's a 7th-round pick for them. Came from Elon, very raw, but very big. This is the 6'6" guy. He was up in the 380-pound range at one point during his career. He's down to about 325. And he's, I think, understandably a bit inconsistent in what he's doing right now. I think as he gets a little more coaching, a little more time dealing with the Vikings zone blocking scheme, that he could be a guy that at least battles for a roster spot this year. I don't think he's a guy that you want to see in there during the regular season at any point because he's still pretty raw. But I'm going to be curious to see where things shake out with him as far as, can he gain a roster spot? Is he more of a practice squad guy? So that's one position, one guy to watch during training camp.
Let's go to the defensive line. Have any sleepers for us?
Well, the guy that's gained a lot of attention this offseason is Hercules Mata'apa, who the Vikings drafted him. He was a defensive lineman. They thought, well, he's probably not big enough to be at defensive line, so they worked him at linebacker last year, got hurt. Now this year he's come back, and they want to work him at the 3 technique. So I'm not convinced that he's ready to overtake guys like Jalen Holmes or even Jaleel Johnson, who's more of a nose tackle, as a guy that's really going to battle for playing time. But, they seem to like him, seem to like his quickness. And if he can prove that he belongs as a defensive lineman, that he's sturdy enough to hold up when, ultimately, I think that nose tackle is going to get double teamed an awful lot. If he can at least hold his ground on running plays as the 3 technique guy with a single team block, then he might have a chance to make the roster.
How about linebacker?
Guy I think is really going to need to step up is Cameron Smith, a late round draft pick for them out of USC. There's a lot of players that I think are of similar talent level as backup linebackers on this squad. Ben Gedeon is probably going to be their number 3 linebacker again. And that means guys like Kentrell Brothers, Cameron Smith, Eric Wilson, I think, has got a pretty good shot at guaranteeing his roster spot again. So, I mean, if you consider Eric Wilson a lock, that's 4 linebackers. Cameron Smith is going to have to show something to be able to stick with the team. If he doesn't make the 53-man roster as their middle linebacker, then I think he's probably a good candidate for the practice squad to just get a little bit more comfortable and have his quickness show up a bit.
Let's wrap up the show with the defensive backs and then the 40 yards of gold race. So let's start with the defensive backs.
Yeah, so the cornerback, the young cornerback that I really like and we'll keep an eye on is Chris Boyd. Aggressive, University of Texas guy, was buddies with Holton Hill down there. It's a deep position, obviously, with the way that Mike Zimmer has drafted cornerbacks, but Boyd's a guy that I think the Vikings would be risking it if they don't have him on their 53-man roster, that somebody else might pick him up. At safety, Marcus Epps, a late-round pick for them. I think he's going to be battling with Darren Smith, who was a AAF safety and played really well in that developmental league this spring. So that one I think is going to be really interesting because, behind Anthony Harris and Harrison Smith, you have trying to think of Jaron Curse. So I think if you're looking for that 4th safety, it's going to be between Epps and Darren Smith.
Cool. And tell me about the 40 yards of gold race.
Yeah, this is a new thing that has just started this year. So what it is this competition down in Miami is this Saturday. And I think it's interesting because I think it's something that the Pro Bowl should consider doing. But basically what they're doing is having a 16-man bracket where players from offense are going against each other one-on-one in a 40-yard dash. Loser gets eliminated. Winner moves on to the next round. So Jeff Badette is the wide receiver I mentioned, a big speedster. He's in that 4.2 to 4.3 40-yard dash range. So he's going to be representing the Vikings on offense. Defensively, Trey Waynes is in it. And, I've talked to both of these guys. I think Badette is more of a favorite than Waynes. But if Badette wins his first-round matchup, he goes against Marquise Goodwin, who people will know as a speedster in the NFL. So I just think it's an interesting concept. They get money for each of their wins. And for a guy like Badette, who's made, about, if he makes a roster this year, he'll be at about $2 million that he's made in his career. He told me if he wins it, it would be $1.135 million that he'd make for this 1 day of racing. So I think it's a cool idea.
Wow. That's almost enough to get me to race.
Good luck on that one.
Yeah. Thanks to Tim. Check out VikingUpdate.com. Of course, check out the Dark Beams Viking coverage as well. Appreciate everybody who supports TalkNorth.com, including Twill in the Dining Galleria, SodaStick.com, promo code TalkNorth, BiteSquad.com, promo code TalkNorth, and Tony Hoaglund, your State Farm agent, who can help you no matter where you live in Minnesota. Again, thanks to Tim and Brandon Morton. We'll talk to you next week.